Last time on Munching Orange Yaps about Pokémon Legends Z-A, we discussed the potential of the starter Pokémon getting regional evolutions, and I was quite shocked to find in the comments how many people would rather see this trio Mega Evolve instead. Not that I don't think Mega Evolutions for them wouldn't be awesome, I just figured more people would be on the boat that the Kalos original starters would be the ones to get Mega Evolutions in this game instead. Of course, there is a tiny chance we get both, but I can't be the only one that feels if Meganium and Feraligatr got Mega Evolutions while Typhlosion got left out, it'd feel a little bit weird. Then again, maybe that just be retribution for Typhlosion's crimes last year. Either way, I always planned on making both videos for regional forms and Mega Evolutions, which also includes potential Mega Evolutions of regional forms. So today we're going to be taking a look at just that, a whole bunch of amazing fan art sprinkled in with my own little theories as to what types these Mega Evolutions could be. And of course, you can find the links to all the artists down in the description, so if there's anyone in particular that you like, definitely go drop them a follow because most of these artists do other concepts for potential Mega Evolutions and just really cool designs for Fakemon and other regional variants. So without further ado, let's begin with a name I haven't heard in many moons, Bulby Boy. You guys may remember this name from back before Scarlet and Violet came out. A lot of people were speculating on potential Paradox forms, and Bulby Boy may have been the most popular artist for this. But Bulby Boy is back once again with an amazing trio of Mega Evolutions for the Legends Z-A Starters. So let's begin with Mega Meganium. I still can't with that name. Like, I know that shouldn't affect Game Freak going through with it, but having to say Mega twice just feels weird. Now, like most of the regional variants that we saw in the last video, Mega Meganium, at least Bulby Boy's version, is also going to be a grass and fairy type. When a Meganium Mega evolves, its petals bloom with Feeric energy, becoming an emanating source of life. What the heck does Feeric mean? Relating to or containing iron? Magical, enchanting, or fairy tale-like? Okay, I don't know about this definition. Obviously, I think everyone agrees that its main flowers, though, are going to grow bigger because that's the whole thing with Mega Evolution. The Pokemon's main features get more exaggerated. So big petally flowers make a lot of sense for Meganium. And though I'm not sure exactly what type of flower this one's inspired by, the petals definitely look like a butterfly or even literal fairy wings, which obviously fits for its typing. I don't know why it's so huge though, like compared to Mega Absol. I mean, I guess if we're to think about the fact that Meganium is based on a sauropod, the long-necked dinosaurs, it would be pretty massive. Don't say it. Don't say the meme. But as far as the design, I love how it has a little flower on its tail. I think that would be a really cool addition. In fact, I don't think regular Meganium even has a tail. It looks like it has a little nub. But I mean, there's Mega Evolutions where the Pokemon grows wings, so I don't think a tail is out of question. But I think Emboar might have actually been the first Mega Evolution concept Bulby Boy came out with, and maybe tricked some people thinking that this is actually in the game. I mean, honestly, his renders are so good and polished that they look like legit Pokemon. I'm definitely not the only one. I thought I was looking at the real deal. Oh my god, wait, that's my tattoo artist. I really like the blue fire. I think that is something that the real Mega Emboar, if it happens, could definitely do, because, you know, the hotter fire gets, it turns blue. And this is of course still a fire and fighting type with the ability Rock Head, so it wouldn't take recoil damage with things like Flare Blitz or I think Wild Charge Emboar also learns. I'm not gonna lie, I would like Emboar to become a different typing than fire fighting because we already have Mega Blaziken, but at the same time, this design definitely stands out from Mega Blaziken and even Infernape, the other firefighting starter. Design-wise, this is an absolute 10 out of 10 for me. The tail is also longer than original Emboar, I believe, just like Meganium. Maybe that's a common trend with these three. Let's find out as we take a look at Mega Feraligatr, which actually just came out a couple days ago. So I'm glad I waited on this video because this hadn't come out at the time I did my regional forms video. But Mega Feraligatr looks absolutely sick and is actually going to be a water and steel type. I thought when I saw the big muscular build that it was going to be water fighting, but I guess that wouldn't make sense with Emboar already being fighting. Either way, Bulby Boy has given it huge power, which of course doubles the attack stat. I feel like Feraligatr already had a pretty good attack, so with it getting huge power, that might be the highest attack stat Pokemon ever. But I think my favorite part has to be the accents on the eyebrows and then these little tusks sticking out of his mouth. It looks really sick. But like I said, all three have a longer tail. You can see the really long tail on Mega Feraligatr here. It looks awesome. Like, imagine this thing swimming through the canals of Lumios and that long tail. Honestly, all three of these designs look amazing and I could totally see them being in the actual game. But as far as the typings, I mean, maybe because I saw so many Grass Fairy Meganiums last video, I'm kind of jaded now and want to see something different. As far as Emboar, I think most people would want it to be something other than fire fighting. So it'd be kind of sick if instead this Feraligatr was the water fighting type, while Emboar was fire steel. That way with Meganium still being Grass Fairy, we do have another sort of type triangle. I just hope it's not the same one that we've seen for the last 2 generations, because if that's the case, I mean, the original Emboar was the 3rd fire fighting type starter in a row, so are we gonna get a 3rd fire ghost type? No, let's not even think about that. But let's focus back up on another concept for Mega Meganium and yet another grass and fairy type. Again, I think I'm jaded at this point because I've seen it so much, but it does make sense with Chikorita learning Disarming Voice in the trailer. I want to say that it could be a red herring though, like we have seen in the past. Frogadier learns the move Bounce, and I think in one of the trailers or Koro leaks, it mentioned Frogadier learning Bounce, so people thought it might evolve into a water and flying type. We could definitely see a similar situation with Chikorita where Disarming Voice is just meant to make you think it's turning fairy type, but in reality, it'll become a completely different type. Maybe even grass and dragon. Now, in case you guys don't know, in Japan, dinosaurs are actually referred to as dragons. I guess more specifically, the word for dinosaur, Kyoryu, literally translates to fearful dragon. So basically, dinosaurs are dragons, according to Japan. Which means Meganium at least has a chance at becoming a grass and dragon type. And a particular Japanese Twitter user seems to agree. I guess long necks make you a dragon type in the world of Pokemon. As far as this concept though, I love how instead of forming a ring around its neck, the petals instead go back and form almost fairy-like wings on Meganium. And I particularly like how flowy they made its antennas look, with this design at the end of it, maybe referencing Fleur-de-Lis still, I'm not sure, but it just looks really nice and very fairy-like. As for L-Size Mega Emboar concept, we can see here that it is a fire and dark type, and I actually really like the way that he did the fire in particular, the collar just puffing up, because Mega Evolutions a lot of times are pretty simple in terms of design. I mean, actually I wouldn't call them simple, but they don't really go too far outside of the original Pokemon's design. Instead, they just exaggerate features that Pokemon's already known for. I also love the little touch of adding a flame at the end of its tail too. Like, it's got so much fire exuding from its body, it's got to expel it from other places. And I'm glad I chose the tail and not anywhere else. Last but not least, we have a Mega Feraligatr as a water and dragon type. And this would actually make an interesting trio with Mega Charizard X being fire dragon, Mega Sceptile being grass dragon. This would be the water dragon to complete the trio. As far as the concept though, I love that it does highlight Feraligatr's, big spikes on its back and also the scales that it grows all over its body. I think my favorite part is this little detail right here though, the 3 spikes on its jaw, because Feraligatr is known as the big jaw Pokemon. So I feel like that's the body part its Mega Evolution should overemphasize. Then again, we have Pokemon like Garchomp, which didn't really have much going on with its jaw, but then you get its Mega Evolution just becomes Giga Chad. Is there actually any Mega Evolution that gets Strong Jaw? Yeah, Mega Sharpedo is the one that gets Strong Jaw, which is a bit unfortunate because it's also a water type. So I guess you wouldn't have or want to have 2 water type Mega Evolutions that are too similar. So maybe Mega Feraligatr does go a different direction, highlighting its claws instead. But another part of Feraligatr I've seen quite a few artists highlight are the weird scales that grow all over its body, particularly with its Mega Evolution turning those into steel scales, as demonstrated here by Lasagne, right? Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Her rendition of Mega Feraligatr though goes with that concept of making those plates actually metal plates, and it looks sick because it kind of fits Feraligatr naturally. I really love how geometric almost all of its shapes look. Like the jaw here is very angular, as opposed to the original Feraligatr art, which is very round. It almost looks soft in a way. I just realized it says Dragon Steel. Oh, it's because it's either Water Dragon or Water Steel. There's no, could go either way, but definitely with those metal plates, I could see this more as a Water and Steel type. But there's one more Water and Steel Feraligatr, again a Mega Evolution in this case from Ondu region, with the ability Strong Jaw, and like, let's be real, there's no better ability for a Mega Feraligatr, because it's all about that big jaw. Although my eyes don't immediately go to the jaw, I actually think more of its claws, like it might have the ability Tough Claws instead. But again, I just love how spiky it is, especially the ones on its back. It looks badass. And speaking of Mega Evolutions exaggerating the Pokemon's already existing features, here we have a concept that takes Meganium's flowers way over the top. Literally, it just keeps growing more flowers along its neck and also along its back and tail, kind of in the same line as Bulby Boy's concept where the tail grows longer. But this one grows even more. Like, look at all these petals growing like segmented throughout its tail. And of course you have the bud at the end of it. I love it. I love how many people are taking inspiration from Meganium's original inspiration, the sauropods, making it look even more like a dinosaur. In my last video, I made a weird connection between Emboar and Endeavor from the anime My Hero Academia. So piggybacking off that idea, here we have the first concept for a Mega Emboar, which literally looks like Endeavor. That just looks so sick. This might be my favorite, at least out of Ondu Region's Mega Starter trio. My main issue is just with it being fire and fighting type, and that's nothing on Ondu Region, obviously, just I'd like to see Mega Emboar do something different. Maybe even taking a type away like we've seen with Mega Aggron. And oddly enough, I think Ondu Region's design would still fit that to really highlight how its firepower has increased. You know, it's basically just pure fire. The one thing I'll say though is if it's exuding that much fire and energy, I wonder if it's shiny. Of course, it's the blue fire. I do think though it'd be cool if it was reversed and base Mega Emboar had blue fire, kind of like Mega Charizard X. Here we go, another firefighting type. Look, I don't blame people for thinking especially a Mega Evolution would remain firefighting. At least this one does look really unique though. It's definitely more sumo looking, like dude is wide as hell. I think even like this part on its head is definitely meant to resemble sumo wrestlers' haircuts, how they have like the bald at the top. I love its expression. I love how they did the same details as Emboar has on its sash, but like all along. Though I'd rather see literally anything but another firefighting type, I do at least think these last two designs stand out from Mega Blaziken, which again, if it ends up being Mega Emboar instead of a regional form, I can definitely see, but like how funny would it be if the other two gain typings, but Emboar actually loses one? I feel like there was one more somewhere around here. Where the frick is Lasagna? I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, but I really love the concept they drew here of an EP Meganium regional form. I just realized this is actually for a Mega Evolution though. Why did I think this was a regional form? The Mega Evolution symbol's right there. Wanted to try and focus a little more on the Pokedex entry that states that their pollen has the ability to calm down, so why not Grass and Psychic? Meganium's official Pokedex entries talk about how its breath has the ability to revive dead plants and flowers, and its petals can calm aggressive feelings. And though I guess you could associate a lot of healing moves to fairy type, I would say they're equally psychic. Which, like psychic Pokemon, I do also think of outer space and aliens. Overall, this design definitely fits psychic type. And it's not the only Grass and Psychic Meganium. Now this trio of concepts I featured in the intro of my previous video, and they're actually designed by 3 different artists, so we'll take a look at the first one here. Here we have Renatuxo's concept for a Mega Meganium that is actually a Grass and Psychic type. I'm so glad it's not another Grass and Fairy, because I saw the pink and immediately I'm like, okay, yeah, it's gonna be another Grass Fairy. But this one, with the pink wisps floating around, I guess it's more like psychic energy overflowing from it. I really like how, as opposed to most other Mega Meganiums we've seen that are more like rounded edges on the flower, this one goes for spiky, jagged flower petals. But it also is growing more antenna, or whatever the heck these are actually called. I believe on Bulbapedia I read that they're called stamen, which is the male reproductive organ of a flower? I don't know what that really implies about it growing a whole bunch of stamen and releasing spores into the air. Next we have Mega Emboar from Costa Artists as a fire and fighting type. Yeah! Again, I don't blame anyone that thinks it's gonna stay firefighting. In reality, it probably is. I have bigger ambitions for Emboar. And finally, we have Chrisley Farius' interpretation of a water and dark type Mega Feraligatr. Throughout my last video, I kept using this art as an example of a water dragon Feraligatr. I didn't even realize it was actually water dark, but I can kind of see it now with the spikes on its back turning like a sort of dark to black gradient. And although it might be kind of weird to see Feraligatr on all fours, I could definitely see it happening for Emboar. Here's a really sick concept actually that has it as a quadrupedal from Amalri Art. And immediately I'm not the only one that's gonna think of the Dark Lord Ganondorf, or maybe it's Ganon when he's a pig. I'm not really a Zelda lore guy like that, but the Pokemon is called Emboar, so it'd be kind of sick to see not just its Mega Evolution, but I guess if it was a regional variant, it going on all fours. And it is of course a Fire Dark type, because like, come on, with a design like that, you can't not be Fire Dark. And this actually came as Mega Evolutions for the Unova starters. This wasn't even a prediction for Legends Z-A, so we can see here, Mega Evolution for Serperior and Dragonite. I will definitely be doing some videos on just general Mega Evolutions I want to see in a Z-A as well, and Dragonite definitely up there as one of them, so make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet to stay tuned for that. That reminds me though that Amalri Art also did a Mega Feraligatr that is Water and Fighting type. And that is actually the type I'm most leaning for Feraligatr now. Maybe because I've seen too many water poison in the last video. Although this one kind of gives water dark type, maybe just because of the darker blue coloration on it. I do love how many spikes it has though, because spikes are a very common trend of Mega Evolutions. Spikes or just give them hair. Wait, oh my god, I just realized. Earlier we saw that art of Mega Meganium Grass and Dragon just growing a long neck. But in reality, a Grass and Dragon Meganium would just grow hair. Oh my god. It's gonna happen, just watch. But anyway, the final trio I want to take a look at is weirdly enough from a fan game that all of you might be very familiar with. 10 years ago, 2015, oh my god. It really has been that long. Pokémon Insurgents actually has Mega Evolutions for all 3 Johto starters. Even though Typhlosion's not one of the Legends Z-A starters, they do have a Mega Typhlosion, which looks pretty sick. Sadly, that means there's no concept for Emboar, but you know, Tepeg's already the odd one out in this trio anyway, so let's take a look at Mega Meganium in Pokémon Insurgents, which is, you guessed it, Grass and Fairy type. Doing some research, I found that the sprites for these Mega Evolutions seem to have been inspired or maybe even originally designed by Tomicase, an artist that I've been following for a really long time. This is like the OG of Fakemon art. And he actually redid Mega Meganium and Mega Feraligatr specifically. These are his old versions of them. And then we have some new versions from 2024, which is kind of interesting. This came out after the first ZA trailer, but before the starters had been revealed. So does Tomicase got some inside info? So the original Mega Meganium did look really cool, but didn't really give Grass and Fairy type, while I think the new design here definitely gives off that Fairy energy. As for Feraligatr though, it almost gives like a Mega Swampert vibe and how it becomes a lot more bulky. I could totally see this being a Water and Fighting type just because of how it's got its fist clenched, but it also kind of looks like it's got some armor on, so could be a Water and Steel type instead. I believe in Pokemon Insurgents, at least, it's still a pure water type with the ability Tough Claws, which definitely fits the old design, but the newer one doesn't seem to even have claws. In the end, I found pinpointing or solidifying a theory for what types these Mega Evolutions could be a lot harder than with the regional forms. I mean, other than Meganium being Grass and Fairy, like that's just inevitable at this point. But Emboar and Feraligatr seem to be a lot more debated between Water Steel and Water Dragon, and I guess remaining Fire Fighting or becoming Fire Dark for Emboar. But personally, if I had to give my predictions, and as goofy as it might sound, I'm gonna go with pure Fire type for Emboar, while the other two gain their most popular theorized typings. Let me know what you guys think of these Mega Evolutions. What types would you want them to be, or would you prefer regional forms as the final evolution of these Pokemon? Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.